Sir Keir Starmer now less popular than Rishi Sunak after a 45-point drop in the opinion polls. And that's coming from The Guardian. So does this spell out the start of the end for Sir Keir Starmer and his Labour Party? Probably not, but let's get into why this is even a discussion in the first place. If I could just ask you one small favour before we go ahead, if you would hit that subscribe button, I'd be really grateful, because about 60%, believe it or not, of you that watch regularly my channel don't hit that subscribe button. I know you think it's not going to make a difference, but all of these metrics on YouTube does help me to grow the channel, reach a wider audience. The more people subscribe, the wider audience I reach, and I'll be really grateful. So thank you very much. We've all heard all of the memes. Starmer the granny harmer after the cutting of the winter fuel allowance. Two-tier Keir because of the accusations of two-tier policing in the justice system, for reasons I've explained in previous videos. And the latest one, which I did a bit of a tongue-in-cheek video over on Black Belt Secrets, where you do get my opinions from time to time, so jump down in the description below and subscribe there, with free gear Keir because of all of the donations. Now, I did that video because I think it's inherently wrong, to be perfectly honest, for politicians to be receiving monetary gifts and all of that sort of stuff. Most people seem to agree with me. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But this has surely hit the opinion polls with all of the news that's come out lately. Now, Fame, obviously, everyone knows who he is, but disliked by 60% according to YouGov. Trustworthiness, you can see the way this is trending here, with 47% saying that he's untrustworthy, and how well he's doing as a Labour leader. 45% said badly. So what does all of this really mean? Well, it all comes down to opinions, and all of this is stemming from obviously the news and particularly recently the donations. But let's talk about opinions for just a moment, because I'll give you an example. I find this utterly bizarre. I had a company reach out to me, offer me a desk to mention it in my videos. And I said, sure, let's do this. Here's my stats for my channels and so on. They came back a few days later to say, unfortunately, we've looked at your profile and decided not to work with you because you touch on political opinion. I find that really bizarre, because not only does it not matter what my opinions are and whether or not I express those opinions to you, but I don't really express those opinions on these channels. And even when I do, I make it clear that it's just an opinion. It's just one way of looking at it. There's always multiple ways of looking at it. And you are perfectly free to disagree with my opinions on certain things. If you disagree with me, that's absolutely fine. I've got nothing wrong with that at all. But people attacking me because of my opinions, I think, is a bit strange. But opinions people hold about things such as these donations here. Now, this interview here was particularly interesting because this was Labour's Bridget Phillipson, who took donations for two events of £14,000, one of which her birthday party. Listen to this.
Your declaration showed that you received £14,000 from the Labour donor Lord Ali last year. What for exactly?
Yep. So I received that money from Wahid Ali, who's a long-standing Labour peer. It was used to fund two events, all of which was declared properly and thoroughly. That's why that information is in the public domain. The first event was ahead of my birthday, so I was turning 40. I thought it was a good opportunity to get people together in a professional context. So it was journalists, trade unionists, education people, MPs.
And we don't need to hear any more. You can go and watch the full thing for yourself. Now, do I have an opinion on that? Well, yes, I do. Does it matter what my opinion is? Not really. What really matters? Now, I think I'm going to venture very slightly into opinion on this channel today, where I don't normally do that. I normally save that for Black Belt Secrets, but I've done that already on Black Belt Secrets. Go ahead and have a look at that video. I'll link it below. But the opinion here is, and it's not even my opinion. My opinion is on the general consensus here. My opinion is on the general consensus, and that is what people really think as a whole is what really matters. That's my opinion. My opinion is what the general population think as a whole, as a collective. That's what really matters here. Now, if we go over to the comment section here on Black Belt Secrets against this video, when I said this one got me, because it really did get me, I saw that it even makes me laugh now. Free gear Keir was trending on X. Now, looking at some of the things here, I made one of the comparisons with barristers being allowed to accept gifts, but only really in moderation. And then even then, we have to consider whether or not we have to decline the gift. So the example I gave is if we do 1 or 2 hours of work and someone offers to buy us something really lavish and expensive, we would have to turn it down because it goes against our duty to maintain independence. Whereas if we've been involved in a case where the fees are £100,000, £200,000, which is not unusual, by the way, and someone offered to take us to a Michelin star restaurant, which is a few £100 a head, that would not be that unusual, and it would not really go against the independence of the barrister. But even then, one has to bear in mind the overall impression. How does that look to the general public? Does it look like the barrister's independence is being compromised? Because if you see, let's say, I don't know, you were in the court watching for whatever reason, or you just happen to know that they are barristers sitting with the client, and you see that they are lavishing with this meal and champagne and all this sort of stuff, as a general member of the public, you might think that that gives the impression that they're no longer independent. Have they done something wrong? Have they skewed justice in any way? Now, for the vast majority of cases, that is obviously not going to be true, but it's in the rules for that reason, because if a barrister is seen to be taking, let's say they took a car, for example, even in a case where the fees are in the hundreds of thousands, if someone was given a car, that makes it look like they've been compromised. And that's really the point here. It's the public perception of being compromised. Now, looking at some of the comments here sort of illustrates my point better in any way than I could. One of them says here, a barrister being bought a meal after completing a job is essentially an extension of the wage he was paid. A politician being given something usually means the person giving the gift wants something in return. Because let's face it, if you honestly think those lavishing gifts on Starmer are doing it out of the goodness of their heart because they think it's a good egg, they're not that kind of people. That's just one opinion from one person. Now, as I say, the opinions of individual people collectively, when they all sort of say the same thing, then starts to become a big deal. One of the most frequent comments I received on this video was from those in public service that said that they would not even accept a cup of tea or a biscuit or anything else because they felt that it was unprofessional to accept that from someone they were providing this service to. And the list goes on. You can go over and read the comments to that video because there were lots of them. Lots of people just said that no gifts to any politicians under any circumstances. And so many people felt that that was just wrong. Lots of people raised questions about tax and benefit in kind. So like I said, I think a lot of people have very strong opinions about this. And I don't think anybody should be shot down for their opinion. It should be a discussion. But I do think that when the vast majority of people share the same opinion on something, I think that is worth bearing in mind. And I think that is why Keir Starmer has come out to say that he's no longer receiving donations of clothing and things like that. And one final thing that I'd like to point out and address, which I think a lot of people will take issue with. Now, again, to anyone watching, this is not me spouting a political opinion. This is just pointing to something that's in the news and saying this is something people have an issue with, or at least I think a lot of people will have an issue with. So Keir Starmer yesterday, as reported by the BBC, said that it's his job to do something about leaks coming from government, leaks of information, leaks of details coming from government. This following the leaking, supposedly, of Sue Gray, his chief advisor's salary being made public. She is apparently on £170,000 a year. Now, I don't necessarily have any problem with someone being on a salary of £170,000 a year. There are many salaries around the country that significantly outweigh £170,000. There are far more that are far less, but that's an entirely different conversation. But what I think a lot of people will take issue with, now again, don't shoot down the messenger here. I'm saying I think that a lot of people, judging by the comment section, will have an issue with this statement that he said it's his job to do something about leaks of this information. Surely, if it's a government position and it's a government in general, people want to know how the public money is spent on public ministers and officers. Is that not so? Just as much as everybody wants to know where all the money is going, on what things, how much they've received, and declare everything. And this all needs to be transparent. Surely, I think a lot of people will say that this needs to be transparent. And so, again, let me know what you think here in the comment section, because at the moment, this attitude is one of, he says he's got to do something about people leaking this information to the public. Surely that should be public information. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just a view that I think a lot of people will hold. Let me know what you think in the grand scheme of things, and comment below. And on the other hand, he was in a celebratory tone to address the activists on Saturday, saying that he'd achieved more in 14 weeks than the Tories managed in 14 years. And I think that point is up for debate. There are lots of arguments for and against on either side. And so, again, don't shoot the messenger. I think this is something that a lot of people will talk about. A lot of people have opinions about. And my point for this video is that opinions are plentiful. The one thing that I think really matters is when a lot of people have the same opinion, that really counts for something. So again, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you want my opinions on certain things, you can go over to Black Belt Secrets. I'll link below. And in the meantime, make sure you subscribe, because about 60% of you don't subscribe to this channel. I'd really appreciate it if you did. And as always, thank you for watching.